Hey, what's going on, everybody? Joe Menza here, and we've got another installment of the Sky series. Now, my reason for doing this is just to give you guys some different ideas, different ways of doing skies. I mean, we kind of get caught in a rut and we do things the same way all the time. You know, make a solid sky or we brush, and this is just to kind of open up things because skies are really like the biggest challenge when you first get started. So I really wanted my goal. I mean, ultimately, if I'm teaching this down the road as some sort of retirement career path, I want to be able to be good at it and teach people and that you have success with it. Right now, I'm taking some blues. I'm going to use a little different colors. I put some different colors on my palette. And one of those colors is cerulean blue, and then I have some cobalt blue. So I'm just doing that now. Now with this one, what I'm looking to do is I'm just tapping this in. You see, I'm going to leave some white. And this isn't something I really do very much. Sometimes it could be hit or miss, I'll be honest with you. But if you get the right colors and you kind of space out the whites, like I have them here, I think, you'll have a little bit more success. Now I'm just coming in with a little bit more blue just to kind of vary it up, a little more cobalt, and just, again, leaving some white spaces. And again, like I was saying, I really want to know that you guys are having success and you're doing well with your paintings and you're having a good time. So when I was learning, it's like I looked at some things. There's a lot of good people teaching on YouTube and things like that, but like when I see, it's like, okay, I think I could explain that in a different way or even a better way that would get people the end result faster. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Now, I just kind of cleaned up my palette. And a lot of times when you clean up like a bunch of colors on your palette, you get like a gray. So that's what I'm doing here. This is a little tinge to the green, but it's still a nice gray. So I'm filling in just underneath maybe the whites that are there, and then overlapping it because we have some transparency. I'm overlapping some of the blue. So it'll provide some nice little transparency there. And then I'm putting a little bit underneath, and then I'm just kind of cleaning up the brush down below, sort of setting the stage for some foreground stuff. But the foreground stuff is more, you can kind of wing that, but this is more about the skies. And these colors in the sky will dry back, so it's important to go a little bit more intense than you might think. Sometimes they say if it looks right while you're painting it, it's not going to be right when it dries. And in a lot of cases, that can be true. Now, I'm thinking here if I have a little bit of water, maybe I'll have a little sandy color on the bottom. We'll go with a brown. I'm just trying to, maybe like a burnt umber, just trying to have a little bit of the colors kind of match up and sort of be friendly with one another. So we don't have, you use too many colors. I mean, now that I've painted long enough, I can go to a bigger palette. I think I have about 15 colors on my palette, but they're all about the same hue. Like I'll have 3 blues, 3 yellows, 3 reds. They're all kind of in the same family. And you can mix a couple of reds and a couple of blues and you'll have a very unique color, a color that really doesn't exist in the market. And it can really make your own stamp for, if you can retain what you did. And I highly suggest, by the way, recording yourself. You don't have to do YouTube videos, but set up your phone, record your video, and watch it back. Because I'll tell you what, it's like your golf stroke. And I don't play golf, but I know people record their stroke and then they watch it to see where the errors or flaws are. It's a really good idea to be able to watch back and keep a bunch of them, especially ones you think came out pretty good, because you will be wondering when you look back, how did I do that? So it's a good idea to record yourself, I think. Now, I'm going to go a little bit darker green using sort of the same blue colors. Make a nice darker green here, and I'm going to create sort of like a tree line down below. And again, the foreground stuff is really sort of not the star here. It's just to complement this nice sky that we're doing. So that's what we're doing here, is we're just going to make some darker trees. Kind of try to come with some different shapes, using the brush, turning the brush on different angles. My go-to brushes now are the Hake brush, and then a fan brush and a rigger brush. So those are like the 3 that I found that I really am going to on a regular basis, that I'm relying on to get the shapes that I need. Now you can use the Hake brush and not the fan brush to do the same things, but if you use a very stiff fan brush, you can do a lot of good little tree branches and things, and so it doesn't hurt. You're still big brushing it. I think still the same principle, still fast and loose, relying on shapes. So I've done a little bit more with the brown on the bottom, a little bit of burnt umber. I've got burnt umber. So speaking of 3 colors, I've got burnt umber, Van Dyke brown, and burnt sienna on my palette now. So 3 browns, 3 reds, 3 yellows, and 3 blues. And then I did throw some Viridian on there. I don't know why I did that. I think there's sometimes if you're doing a cityscape, sometimes it's there's times when you can use it. Like I have Pyrrole Red on my palette now, and I wouldn't use that really for landscapes. Maybe if I was making a purple, but if I was doing an urban landscape, I might. So as you can see, I've used the fan brush like I talked about, and I'm using it vertically to make some nice pointy trees, and these will sit very nicely against the backdrop of that sky. Don't go too high with them because we did a lot of, to make that nice sky that we have. So just so the tips kind of maybe touch on the white areas in the back and create a little counter change there, a little contrast is something we look for. So your eyes are looking back and forth. Your eyes are a little more dazzled by that change in color. That's why they call it the counter change. And it's something that it attracts interest. So leaving white behind, which isn't really my strong point, I need to practice more of doing that. And then in the coming days, one of my goals is, good to have goals, I want to do more urban landscapes. And my problem is with that is not being loose enough. So that's why we're all here, right? We're all trying to paint looser, do better, have results that we enjoy at the end. You can enjoy painting as you go, but I know the frustration. I mean, when I was first painting, I'll be honest, I hit my board a couple times, wasn't really what I wanted, and it's like, and then I feel like I just wasted a half hour and a bunch of paint, So that's why I want to encourage you, and I want you to do good. This is a fun pastime, and it takes your mind off a lot of things. And the better I can be with showing you guys some things. So anytime you want to hit me up and say, hey, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with that, maybe I'll do a video and I'll try to focus on those things a little bit better. So we've left a little light coming down into the foreground from the sky area. And that's good to bring the eye up, down from the bottom up to the sky, or from the sky down into the foreground. And ultimately, the star of the show is the sky here. And it didn't really take us long at all. I mean, now I'm just doing some little darks in the foreground, just to, again, get that contrast in the foreground, the closer elements. Things, little rocks, or maybe little changes in the way the ground lays and stuff like that. So I'm just doing that. I'm just randomly doing it, And a lot of these, like I say, I just kind of go from imagination. I just kind of go with it. It's. I don't know if that's something you can really teach. I guess if you're expanding, let's put it this way: if I was trying to tell you to expand from your imagination, it really requires doing a lot of paintings and looking at a lot of scenes and just memory retention, trying to, study things, and maybe you bring a tree in from one thing and you bring in, this color from another thing, and you say, hey, this would look nice here. I've always said before, it's like arranging a room of furniture. Hey, it would look nice if we had a chair here, and how about a couch here by the window, and if we paint the wall this color, it would look nice. It's like that. And I think after you do a lot of paintings, I mean, how many scenes really of landscapes can you do if you think about it? They're all either going to have water, mountains, grass, sky, clouds, sun, rocks, so they're all kind of going to be about the same. The thing that changes is your composition. The thing that you're limited to on your composition now is things do have to be arranged, but yet you don't want them to look arranged. You want them to look natural and random, like when you look at nature. So that's another element, but it all comes in time. I mean, you're going to have to practice. Guys like me and the other guys that are doing YouTube, you can study the technique and shave many hours off your learning time. I think if you sat on a desert island and you had no teacher, you'd eventually come to a conclusion of certain things and your style might change, but it would probably take you longer to get the result. And plus, you want to have examples of things. Something you saw is like, hey, we take a lot from artists over the years. Go back and study and look at landscapes, even if they're oils. Go back and just look and see what the masters were doing back in their day, and just try to create this mental library. It's a lot to retain. That's why this is a lifetime pursuit, I think, and that's why we keep chasing the painting drug and trying to, okay, the next one will be better, the next one will be better. And the pursuit has to be the fun part. It's like people that say they were working their way up and they got rich, and they look back on the pursuit, and there was a lot of reward in that. So here we are, we're at the end here. I know I talked your ear off again, but I really wanted to get you a lot of information. Here is the final painting. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let's look at it in the virtual frame. Thank you so much. Remember to check me out on Patreon. Thanks, everybody.